Namaskar. Welcome in the live interactive teleconference of the MBA in Healthcare and Hospital Management. Today we are going to discuss about the strategic management in hospital. As you know that the hospital is integral part of the healthcare delivery system, and as a manager you must know how to manage the different asset of hospital and strategically how to manage the different issues. To discuss all this issue, we are having our expert, Dr. A.K. Kukkar.
Hello.
Dr. A.K. Kukkar is a visiting professor of IIHMR and he has experienced more than 4 decades in the hospital management. He has also written a book on the strategic management of hospital. And today sir will discuss about this topic, and in this meantime if you have any queries, you are most welcome to ask your queries through phone call. Your phone number will be displayed on the screen, so you can make a call. And in this meantime, I hope all of you are studying well and writing your assignment of the second semester. And you are waiting for the the result of the first semester as well as the assignment marks. So please hold for some time till end of this month. The results are in the process, but still if you have any queries, please write to the center where you have submitted to the assignments. And for the result, term and result, you need to write to the registrar acd@ignou.ac.in. So please write email to them. So sir, not wasting much time, I would like to request you that please discuss on this issue, strategic management of hospital.
Thank you. Thanks for your introduction, and welcome to this session on strategic management of hospitals. I understand that you have already gone through a number of studies on this module in the general context, wherein you are totally familiar with many of the things which as to what is strategy, what is strategic management, and what are external factors, internal factors, strength, weaknesses, and other things. What do we need for to be successful in management? Today we are going to be talking in a very simple way about how this strategic management is important for hospitals. We have already discussed in one of our sessions earlier the intricacies of the hospital management and how over a period of time the hospital has become so complex to manage. There is the upcoming of the private hospitals, the corporate hospitals, nursing homes, and then of course the other side is that we have been now too much concerned about management of the hospitals in a scientific way. And there is a sustainability issues of the hospital is arising because of the technological developments, financial constraints, people's expectations, the competition in the market. There is virtually everything that asks for that. How really can we survive within the markets is the big issue. So over a period of time the things have totally changed, and today we, as in other sectors, we are concerned about, will my hospital be able to survive? Shall I have to go for some sort of diversification? Shall I be able to really manage in the long run? Shall this hospital be ultimately have to be a part of another facility, as you might have seen in many type of mergers, diversifications, and other things? So just like any other organizations, this business has to be taken up in a very, very shrewd manner to see that we are able to really survive in the long run. That is the strategy of the people who are managing the hospitals today. So to see that the hospitals will survive over a long time, and then we have to have a clear-cut vision. We have to define where we want to be, how we will be there, what are our objectives, what benchmarks from this we want to achieve, and ultimately are we able to survive in the competition that we are in. So that is how are we going to ultimately make the optimum use of our whatever you may say, the constrained resources. That is how there are certain things which we have to keep in mind when we talk of strategic management of hospitals. So before we proceed, and we all of know that we are already talked of the complexities of the hospital, the way the hospitals are functioning today, the way the competition is created, the new specialties, super specialties are entering in, the instruments are getting upgraded day in and day out, and how are we really able to cope up with the resources, as well as there is a intense competition as in other markets, whatever may be the things they are dealing with. So how to survive in that is the basic issue. So strategic management is essential for optimum utilization of resources in a highly competitive environment. That environment which consists of external factors, the internal factors, and various other things. So with this background, what we want that you should be able to know the importance, nature, and value of strategic management. What are internal and external environmental factors that affect the functioning of the hospitals and how to overcome them, and to understand the process of goal setting, analysis, strategy formulation, implementation, and ultimate evaluation as to what we are able to do and are we able to really survive. So before we talk of strategic management per se, let me talk about what we mean by strategy. You might have heard the word strategy, tactics, operations, this and that. There are in different sectors. The word strategy has actually come from the forces and whatnot as to how you really plan from the highest level.
May be used for the military purpose also, like how they are making strategy and geopolitical strategy, and different contexts this word is using. But in this case, how exactly it is meaning?
In this, we are talking of the higher managements, the people at the top level, how they will really think of, and they are able to see forward for 15 year, 20 year ahead, that are we able to make our resources to be allocated in such a way that we will be able to achieve one or more goals under the conditions of uncertainty. Those uncertainties, of course, internal uncertainties may be easier to recognize, but it is very difficult to think of the external, what is going to happen. You are already having an experience nowadays with the wars over different places and how they are, though we don't get into the nitty-gritties of it, but they are ultimately affecting our economy. What is our economy, whether it is me who is affected or my neighborhood country or maybe the other country which is in the West. So you can think of how the political stability is important at the international level to ensure that the resources are kept to the right as far as possible. So this is to give you some of the definition, the art and science of planning and marshalling resources for their most efficient and effective use. Right, and this is strategy is always done at the highest level. People at the top level are very familiar with the, they have intuitiveness also, they have experience, they have some knowledge of the principles of, management that have worked over a period of time. They also know what does not work. They have maybe have seen many successes as well as failures. So keeping all those in mind and using various type of techniques which you might have already studied in your module, they go for how to think of the future and ultimately think of planning. So when they make that strategy, tactics is a means by which strategy is carried out. That when you have made a strategy or the ultimate what you want to do, and then you really think at the the management level what you are going to do, and then at operational levels what people are going to do lower below. All this is related to the strategy. So there are three things which are very, very important. Our central focus continues to be the hospitals, the corporate planning function, vision, mission, and overall goals of the organization. Vision, as you know, in a simplest word, I would like to put it, vision means where we want to be ultimately. What do we want to achieve ultimately over a period of time, with all the constraints of resources, with all constraints of competition, with all kinds of external and internal factors, and will we be able to reach that or not? That is your vision, how much time it is going to take. So the mission is about how will you reach, how will you marshal your resources and things to see that you are able to achieve your vision. In simplest word, as I always put it, vision is where you want to reach, mission is how are you utilizing your strategies or your resource utilization or the path by which you will be achieving your vision ultimately. So keeping this in mind, so corporate branding, that is at the highest level, focuses on vision, mission and achievement of overall goals. Then you come down that there are the people who are executing your things. So that is the business planning, that is the healthcare managers and employees in realizing corporate level plans and goals which have been planned at the higher level. And then is the functional level, which is between the clinical services, the patients and the various type of ancillary services involved. And it also talks of how are you going for marketing, distribution of services, patients, and that includes even research on such matters.
I think, sir, here they need to be focused, like every hospital has its own vision, own mission. Like not all hospitals are having the same kind of things. For example, private hospitals are having different kind of goal. Public hospitals are having different kind of goal. Even within the public hospitals are also like as a district hospital and like AIMS like hospitals are having different, and within private also like some things are very much charitable and some hospitals are very much in a corporate type of hospital. So I think as a manager they need to understand the dynamics and principle of the vision and mission of the particular hospital for their efficient work.
You are absolutely right. There is nothing like that there is a tailor-made formula for the hospitals per se. So as rightly pointed out, the different type of hospitals, whether you are dealing with a teaching hospital or a non-teaching hospital, whether you are dealing with a corporate hospital or the other nursing homes and other smaller clinics, chain which is running through that, for which also you want a strategy. And then of course the things have become much more important in the private sector because of this mere factor of survival. Even nothing wrong in thinking that government hospitals are also thinking of survival, right? So survival is an issue not only for private sector but also for the governmental sector, because ultimate accountability to the public remains the same. So wherever you are and whatever you are and what is your level of services, that will define that what will be your vision, what will be your mission and what will be ultimate goals. So there's a hospital dealing with children will have different set of things than with the geriatrics. Similarly, a super specialty hospital will have a different vision. A hospital with a chain all over the the international chain will have a different set of strategies, whereas people within the country or within a region will have different. So very rightly pointed out, there is nothing like a tailor-made specification that fits into everything. So every organization, and the mere fact that we talk, the top management of that organization will be accordingly deciding what they need to be done at the highest level, that is the corporate level. So coming to there you have been given those definitions in your modules also, but some of this one which I like is strategic management is the process managing pursuit of organization mission while managing relationship of the organization to its environment. You are not going blindly towards what you have planned and what you are allocated, but you are looking at simultaneously what is required from time to time, both within the internal as well as the external environment. How are you making best use of your manpower, your finances, your materials and your methodologies and other things from within the organization, and what are the issues that are coming from external factors with the change which may be happening from time to time. So how are you matching them? This is what is the one of the very good definition, that strategic process of managing the pursuit of organization mission while managing relationships of the organization to its environment. And environment, the moment we talk of all the factors, as you have been doing that PESTLE, as you know, political, social, environmental, economic and technological, and all. Tomorrow any other things which are not in our control, all will be included in this. So that is one thing. Another definition that we have depicted here is strategic management, the process of examining both present and future environments, because you see we are in a system where the things are going to change over a period of time. Formulating the organization's objectives and implementing, controlling decisions, focusing on achieving these objectives in the present and future environment. That means we are trying to totally relate our present environment and what we are expecting of the future environment, which is not only presumptive, which is based on certain basic evidences, which is based on certain trends, which we have today various type of predictive analysis for them, and we can think of what is likely to happen within next 5 years, 10 years and all, and how are we really going to ensure that the present way of doing our work confines to the long-term range goals which are likely to be faced over a period of time. So our definitions are many others are there, but these are two which we have talked of. But why strategic management? All of you know, we have been into conventional management. The management concepts have been changing. You have been talking of have your goals like this, have your goals, smart goals. You have, don't be too, what I must say, you think of such thing which you cannot achieve. So be very, very practical, be within your resources, but at the same time be clear about the market, be clear about people who they are receiving your services, be clear about the competition that is likely to be affected, where are your chances of business. All these are the things which are coming up, and with the coming up of the corporate sector and all, things are becoming much more clearer as far as competition and other things are, and finally the survival is concerned. So when we talk of strategic management, one is clarifies objectives and given direction for future of the organization. We are very clear what we want to achieve. We are clear what direction we have to follow within the given future. We are not in a simply that we have got a annual budget and within that budgetary constraints are there and you have to manage within that, and ultimately after planning and everything you adjust. It's not like that. Maybe those times you maybe have to be flexible in your making your changes and all that, but you have to think in the long term. So you have to think of future. Then just when you are able to really correlate your present with your future, naturally the results will be much more effective than otherwise, and once we talk of results, our performance will definitely be better. And since what we were talking about long range and short range and thinking of consumers' expectation, all stakeholders being thought of in our corporate thinking and all that, it will increase employee satisfaction and motivation to work. So all that results in better decision making as far as the management is concerned, and things become much more visible to you in a longer distance rather than thinking of survival for this year, that year as per our budgetary allocations. Now, why this is, and just like as you have read in the business also, the need for strategic management in hospitals, why we are talking of. We have already very clear the business models of the hospital. We are into the same environment. We are into the problems of justifying our expenses. We are having to respond to technology. We have to be very clear about our evaluation of the systems. We are accountable for our actions. So we are nowhere different than others. So particular to medical side, we know the rising costs of medical care are there. with the rising medical care costs, you will have to adjust to whatever are the things that are going to be over a period of time. How to you will be managing the resources in a manner. Maybe it's a more input in terms of technology, maybe more input in terms of certain materials that are being used, that you apply certain scientific techniques to manage them, and how are you ultimately going to cope up with the changing technological developments. The moment you talk of today, in anything, let's say you talk of artificial intelligence, you talk of IoTs, you talk of machine learning, you talk of applications of automation, this and that. But then, are we really prepared for that? Do we have the infrastructure for that? Will it be really cheaper? Maybe cheaper in the long run, but can it be adjusted accordingly? So, with the technological changes, technological developments, it's not that easy to adopt to technology as sometimes we think of. There are many inputs that may be required, and how to cope up with the changes. Does it require certain infrastructure changes? Does it require people's attitude changes? How do we bring about change in the working of the people? So technology is simply not that something will come in the market and we will take it and adopt that technology. How to adopt the total system is the issue. That is why we need strategic management. So changing expectations of the people, all of consumer expectations are very high. They will continue to be high. And from the medical sector, as the expectations of the people are too much, whereas probably the payment capacity of the people, the payment, they want to make is very, very difficult. That how the expectations, response, and their paying capacity and all do the completely each. But all said and done, consumer expectations continue to be high. Then rights of the patients granted by the states. All of the consumer have their rights, and we talk of the consumer rights in terms of their various 6 to 8 at the international level, and they have right to information, they have right to question, they have right to redress, they have right to ask you why like this, so all these are the other things which make us think that let's have a long-term thinking rather than surviving. So ultimately is, as we said, that efficient, effective, quality services, and you can add any more adjectives to it, all this is required for the strategic management.
Actually, one question here my student may like to ask, that normally in a hospital people are taking decisions, they are doing planning, and they are functioning in a proper normal way. When they realize, and what are the actions through which they start feeling or they are into the strategic management? Means, is there anything extra they need to do? They're normal, whatever they're doing, like they are also planning, they are also operating it in a cost efficient way. They are also working for the better facility to provide the maximum optimum way to the patient and the relatives. Everywhere the efficiency is coming our way, the way they are routinely planned. So is it the same like strategic management, or strategic management is something different, which is the normal routine plan of the any functioning of the hospital?
Very much right in asking this question. One is, we do our planning, organizing, staffing, all the things at our organizational level, but then when we start realizing that neighborhood is doing better than us, am I into the competitive market? Are my people satisfied? Are my clientage is coming down? Or that there is a trust deficit that is happening within my setup among the employees, among the patient and the employees, and I am myself over a period of time concerned that the quality of services which I was providing probably is not the same or is not going up as per my expectations. I am falling short of my budgets. I am not able to manage within that. I see that other hospitals are responding with better ways of operations and other things, maybe it in terms of surgical operations or normal operations of the hospital. Wherever I find there is a difference, and when people start talking about that some change is required. So these are various cues and factors that will be required to think that you have to think of a strategic management rather than going by the conventional management at the hospital level. So I hope.
Yeah. I think now things are much more clear because anyway, unfortunately, sir, in an Indian setup, we do not have much well-trained people in the hospital management. So most of the things are done in a traditional way, like the managing the hospital. So they need to enrich with all these factors so that they can deliver much better way to the people.
Yes, this job a little off the track. We have the experience of, let us say, managing stores in a hospital. The same store being managed by a very highly qualified man, being the medical superintendent later on, and then later on the same store being managed by a professional. Within 3 years, there was marked difference. So the professionalization has its own role.
Yeah.
At the various points, so which of course now our learned students will come to realize over a period of time, and that is why actually they are into these courses. So let's go ahead with some of the things I have already talked to you. Vision is a picture of what organization wants to be ultimately achieving. So where we want to reach, what I want to become. Then mission statement defines the organizational business objectives and how it reaches these objectives. In simple words, I say the path to be followed to achieve our vision is the various activities that will be taken by the mission. So with this, there are 3 components of strategic management process are: first thing, knowing the environment. Until and unless we are clear about the environment, what is happening within our political circle, what is the changes happening in the economy, where from the funds will come to us, where are the technological advancements that are taking place, are there changes in our compliances, licenses and other things, which that hospital has so many compliances, more than 200 compliances are there when you talk of laws and regulations and other things. So all these are the external things which are happening, and there are changes happening day in day out. So environmental scanning relates to that. Keeping that in mind, how do we make our own strategy and then implement and evaluate control, which we will be talking now like that. In scanning, systematically collecting and analyzing information for strategic purposes of the, let's say, be clear within our external and internal environment. We normally try to go for, as you have already done in your general management, SWOT analysis. What are the strengths? What are the weaknesses? What are opportunities, threats? Just to talk of strengths, new innovative service has come which we can take advantage of. So that is a strength, and for that we have the required resources, we are capable of doing it, so it is our strength. We have the cost advantage because that we want to introduce a new super specialty. We already have the labs, we have the people who can manage that. There is not much more cost involved than for any other person to any other facility to go for a new department. So that is another type of, we are reputed, like you are talking of All India Institute of Medical Sciences, you are talking of Apollo Hospital, you are talking of Fortis, whatever maybe, you have built that reputation that whatever they are going to take up will run. So that is again one of your biggest strengths, that you have a mark in the market. And then of course a special expertise. There are certain hospitals which are famous for orthopedics, there are other hospitals which are famous for eye operations, there are others for maternity and other things like that, which is famous one. You have that expertise which is known to the people, and once you add anything to that, whether it is in technological terms or it in additional functional terms, that is your strength. Then is of course the geographical advantages, that is accessibility of services where you are placed. That is another thing. So these are some of the strengths, and you can think of the opposites or the other things as your weaknesses. Like somehow the damaged reputation does not mean it is completely damaged, means your reputation has come down.
Yeah.
Right. Over a period of time, there was a time, I don't want to name the hospitals, but I know that 20 years before, we used to think of that hospital only. But today, that is not number 1, number 2, that might have gone to number 10. So, it doesn't mean that the hospital has become bad or anything, but that reputation has gone down because there are others. Then, gaps in capabilities or service areas, as we said that when we were talking of cost advantage and all, we have the necessary infrastructure, we have necessary labs, we are capable of all the ministerial and other functions. We are only to add few facilities. So here are the gaps. Then we are already lagging in technology. I just uttered in the few minutes before to you that it's simply talking that I am going to make automation in my stores does not mean that it will come automatically. There are so many considerations, there are so many long-term thinkings that much we know. There may be, I may have to go for infrastructure and other changes. I may have to think of, should I do it myself or give it to the third party? So like that, so we are not fully capable of that technology, or maybe for that technology I don't have the manpower. So management or staff problems, which can be of any time, all of that they are the weaknesses for anything and everything what we do. And poor location is another thing. If we are not being strategic in our location right from the beginning, that is other thing we should keep in mind. The opportunities, a market vacated by a competitor. A market, something is already missing. A market is in some type of some service for which people have to go somewhere else. So that is a very, very important opportunity for us. Then some new technology which has come, which can be very well adapted by us. We don't find any difficulty in adopting that new technology. We have the necessary expertise. It can be trained in a few days, or the people are already used to that technology which is existing, and it is a new alteration in that. So that is our, again, opportunity for us. Then changes in population profile or need. Suddenly, everybody wants to go for robotic surgery. There was a time people were afraid of laparoscopic surgeries. There are centers which don't have that much endoscopic surgeries being done. So all these are the opportunities for you for a particular place to be taken. And then lack of dominant competition. Already things are, you are developing the things, there is not enough of competition. You have to come up, and people will be looking for competition with you. So all this is another thing, new vertical, horizontal, niche market or something. All these are our opportunities to look into and get into it. And then of course threats, they are all interrelated ultimately when you talk of that a competitor has an innovative product or services which is known to people are accepting it, you want to enter that market, so it's a threat. You have that chances of failure may be much high. Then adverse changes in reimbursements or regulation. What happens, whenever the governments change the compliance, there are certain changes in the law which are related to business, and that changes may be particularly affecting your business. Let's say for our hospital business is not confined only to the clinical side. Any type of compliances with any type of technical technology or the equipments that we are getting, the imports or exports, everything affects us. So like that, changing in insurance plans, contracts and major areas of employer. Then competitors have better success to channels of distribution. They have already established their clientage and other things which we are still to do, and this is one of the threats. Threat does not mean that we will not be able to do the business. They only means that we should be aware of these are the things which we will have to overcome. Then loss of key staff or associates. You had a department which was being run by 1 or 2 experts. One has already left, or you are not able to get the technical people associated with that which are already with the other people, and you may have to attract them. There are the other strategies which we are not talking here now. New or increased competition, shift in market demand, referral sources, this and that. So the opportunities and threats are again interrelated to each other. Yes, strength and weaknesses, these may be internal, external, that factors may depend on many, and you have to ultimately make a mixture or marriage of all those factors to ensure that where you can be getting the better results. So once you are clear about the environmental factors, internal, external, SWOT analysis and everything, and what is available with you, then only you can think of forming a strategy over a period of time. So the strategy formulation process will look into the organization objectives and what are your internal capabilities in view of the external analysis which you have already done. So here all your strengths will be very, very important. The threats will be the ones which you will have to overcome. All the opportunities you will utilize, and then you see that whether you have the resources or not, and those capabilities, that is the next step. Internal capabilities are analyzed with respect to the objectives and have to be formulated to foresee what capabilities will be further required to pursue the strategic intent. Thus, it refers to the best course of action available for accomplishing the organization in view of the information on external and internal environment. So, in simple words, you are matching the external environment with your internal strengths or weaknesses, looking at the opportunities ahead, thinking of the constraints which are there within the your own resources, thinking of which are the resources which can be upgraded, which are the ones which have to be added. There may be, you may think in terms of resources like what will be the manpower resources, what will be the training resources, what will be the financial constraints, and what will be the materials which you may require further.
I think day-to-day practice also, every individual may be doing it in a different way. Like whenever we go out, we try to see whether how much means climate, is it very cold or it is very warm. That way we also think whether I have a sweater, how much cold is there, and if I have cold or not, do I need to take medicine. All these things we already do in our day-to-day practice, but I think the same thing we need to implement in a in a larger scale in a hospital setting.
Right.
Isn't it, sir?
Definitely. What you are telling is that, in fact, when we talk of planning, organizing, and up to evaluation, we are already within planning, we are thinking of evaluation.
Yeah.
Right. So there is nothing like which is not associated with each other.
Yeah.
Secondly, yes, anyone and every one of us is engaged in, thinking, planning, executing things, whether we are in-house or we are going out of house.
But we may be not realizing that,
yes.
now we are doing strategic management for my own.
Yes. So we are not that definitely realizing where I will be 10 years hence.
Yeah.
Or 20. And if we are thinking like that, probably right from beginning, when you thought of that how you are going to, you wanted to become a doctor, you wanted to become engineer or architect or whatever it was. And that path you have, traveled the same, which we said vision and the mission. So everything you are accomplishing yourself.
Yeah.
Only thing now you are talking at the organizational level, a bigger level, and thinking of that it is not only me who has to think of, but there are too many actors and too many functions that are involved which have to be brought together.
So his main job is to take care of everything and move ahead to achieve the objective, or you can say vision or mission of the particular hospital.
Simultaneously relating them to each other.
Yeah.
Right? And be aware of that where will be the threats.
Yeah.
And the threat world appears to be bad, but
it may keep changing. It may keep changing. So all the time we have to keep open our eyes.
Mere response to change is a threat.
Yeah.
But response to change is a very much scientific thing.
Yeah. Like even 5 years before, the COVID factor was not there before. So we never give a thought that kind of emergency, like oxygen requirement is the one of the, means everywhere we are struggling for the oxygen. So
like that, the opportunity became that though COVID was a distress for many things, but it was a huge stress for development technological advancements. Right. So similarly, what are the critical success factors and other things which are there? We will be talking some of them because most of you know all those things. But let's rightly pointed out, as we say that home housewife is the best manager.
Yeah, of
right?
course.
Because all of us can recognize what our parents or their mothers especially did for managing the total house, whether it was external environment, internal environment. So that way, kitchens are the best for your, what we will be talking of materials management. Anyway, so that's good. So hospital external, internal factors, qualitative, quantitative analysis, help us in formulating the strategies as per the SWOT analysis which we have discussed in detail, and keep it updated, providing the quality of services to the patient, to the public at large. Be very clear that we are talking of strategic management long term, but flexibility will always continue. It does not mean that the moment we talk of that we are thinking of a particular vision and particular goal, then we will not think of that there can be something change or some flexibility will be not there. So once we are there, once we have been able to plan, all of the next step is always executing or implementation. So we will formulate our alternative action plans, go to the best action plan which we feel will be able to do the things in an effective and efficient manner, and in short, we will implement what we are planned. And then to ensure that things have gone the way what we had thought of, we will have to have evaluation. You have those business scorecard, you have those score models, you have this quantitative models, qualitative models. I am not discussing all those, they are given in your books also, but depending on the nature of things, we will divide what type of audits or what type of evaluations we are going to ensure that they are done, so that we are indulging in an appropriate thing. And this is how the strategic planning, implementation and control process, which in fact we have talked, is like under the planning, you are going towards right from corporate to divisional planning to business planning to product planning to interpersonal planning to patient and doctor planning. So many things will be coming down right from top to bottom. So that is your planned activities, and out of this may come a number of sub activities or whatever it is. After these have been done, you have done your organizing. That is how you are going to ultimately see that through what type of division of functions, division of work, then division of duties and persons who will be responsible for what, and ultimately you are indulging in implementing. That is in simple word, you are executing your plans which you have made in the first compartment, and then once you have implemented over a period of time, or maybe simultaneously you decide that I'll be looking into it 3 monthly, 6 monthly, 1 yearly, or whatever way you are, what we call monitoring at various stages. So you will be looking for results which you have thought of. So once there may be various type that you may have to be thinking, and again quantitative, qualitative terms as well. You may be using different tools which have been given in your module. Then ultimately you will diagnose the results and see that how far are we from what we had planned. So once we are clear, and all of you know that we are ultimately dealing with the gap analysis as we call it, that where are the gaps, we start thinking of where did we go wrong, and ultimately for taking corrective actions we will come to the same compartment again and go ahead, seeing that this cycle will continue till we are into the real process of getting near to whatever we have planned. So these are 5 tips which we have already talked of. Follow the strategic plan anatomy which we have already talked of right from corporate level downwards. Push strategies to mission and vision. let it be traveled in that direction, but be very clear on few goals. Be clear about what you want to do. Put it in on paper or put it in terms of what you want to be qualitative and quantitative. But at the same time, don't be too ambitious. Be practical, be realistic, and develop such type of goals which will be measurable qualitatively or quantitatively and which will be able to be accomplished. So there are certain critical success factors which are there. In fact, we have already talked of most of them in one or the other. This is just to put it in some definite form. Environmental factors, we have already talked of external, internal factor, external environmental factor in terms of strength, weaknesses, opportunity, threats. Internal concerns of our own organization in terms of manpower, in terms of materials, in terms of our finances. And when we talk of hospitals, we will think in terms of specific health issues. Then of course, as we talked, local cultural context. Where are we? Can we do it? Will it be applicable? Do we have market? So who are our key stakeholders? Am I in a market like you might have studied in terms of entering into the market, skimming strategies and other strategies, what type of stakeholders are there? Then of course our own stakeholders, stakeholder right from corporate to down to whether we are in the clinical services, whether you are in the material services, you are ministerial services, you are a patient, you are all type of it's a total chain that does it fit, and a barrier to change may depend on whatever you are planning. And then of course whenever there is a sudden change in anything, all of the responding to change becomes a change, and change management per se is a subject by itself. And that is why we always say don't make changes if they are not required, or make changes which will be responded to, or only make changes which will be beneficial. Otherwise try to alter the vessel whatever is existing. Then be clear about sustainability, because it is you may be able to bring about change, but then sustaining change, as we talk in terms of that buying something is easy, but when maintaining is much more difficult. So similarly, bringing about a change or introducing something within your system may be easy, but at the same time you will be finding it that change is sustained towards end. And when we talk of towards end, talking of 10 years, 15 years and all that it will be sustained. You may have to build your capacity, train people, educate people, then of course certain economic empowerment, change in your delegation of powers, coordination that may be required at different levels. All these are the issues which are critical to success in one or the other way. So when we talk of hospital management, and most of the people, and you have corporate social responsibilities and you have a full chapter and a lot of things which have been described in your module. When we think in terms of hospital to have some value added services, like you have been talking in the business circles, then there are certain things which will just run through that they add value, as you have that Porter's model and all that value additions to everything. And then again when you talked of business scorecard and everything, that how the things are really contributing ultimately in totality. So certain things which are required at every level, and that we have already talked of hospitals are without walls, hospitals are comprehensive in nature, whether a super specialty hospital or a teaching hospital should be totally involved in health services right from primary, secondary to end. So there are certain things which are very, very important. I'll just run through them because all of you know all this, like health education sessions, lectures on public health information and other things, arranging certain exhibitions on health and other things, because they create your familiarity within your circles. There may be other terms or tools of information, education, communication. There may be film shows. Then of course there are immunization drives within hospital, outside the hospital. Then similarly drive towards family planning services, welfare services for your own people who are coming there, who are working there or who are coming there. So all these are yoga, de-addiction, sex education, marriage guidance. These are the type of services which will give you an added advantage in the long run than any other person. Not that these are only for competition, they are also required as far as our hospital services are concerned. So this is some of the list of all these services, but main is that your catchment community must know that you are existing with certain added things within your services. So this is a list. I'll just skip it and go through. So to conclude, as we have been talking, hospital is an industry which is very, very important to everyone within the country. Every person wants to take advantage of that. So we must be clear that whatever are the strategic management things that are there within any industrial organization should also be there in the hospital. So the hospital has to respond with that rapid changes, social, political, economic, legal, ethical, economic, all these are the factors which we have enumerated as external factors. Then they have to meet all the compliances which may happen. So for all this you need strategic management, that is you have to manage in the long run. Then another thing which is very, very important is why are we not able to put our management, not only for this strategic management, involve physicians in decision making. This is something which is lacking in most of our organizations, and then have authentic data, because ultimately right from our corporate level planning to everything, if our data is not correct, probably the things will not be correct. Respond to changes in technology, whether it is diagnostic, therapeutic, monitoring devices and whatnot. So fast changes in technology, fast response to change is required if you want to respond to this and have a strategic management. Adapting to change, overcoming resistance to staff and public, the challenges of competition with regard to facilities, quality, price, market, competition, acceptability, affordability, so many things are there which you have to simultaneously think of when you are indulging in strategic management. This is here what I respond and thank to all of you for your listening.
So sir, thank you very much. But in this meantime, I would like to bring the attention of the students, like we have also studied about the hospital information management system in the previous week. Now we are talking about the strategic management, and everything is connected. Nothing is isolated form. So as a student of management, you need to learn how to connect different dots in your work setup. Unfortunately, in the Indian context, many doctors are trained as a clinician, not as a manager. So here is the challenge. So we have to change the organizational behavior, and we need to learn connecting the different dots. And the strategic management is also not a like one-time job. It is a continuous process. As sir has already mentioned, that environment has keep changing, your regulations has keep changing, your economical situations around you within hospitals are keep changing. So you have to bring the changes continuously depending upon the situation demand, keeping in mind of the main mission and visions of the hospital or the particular organizations. So I hope this lecture is very much useful, and I am very much thankful to Dr. A.K. Khokhar, who has given his valuable time and share his valuable thoughts regarding this topic with all of you. And I hope you all must be benefited. This looks like a very simple topic, but when you start doing it, in fact, you may be already doing without knowing it properly, but when you start doing it, you can really enjoy the entire process, and you find yourself much enriched through the system. And when you reach the goal, and when you involve yourself dedicatedly, then of course you see the result of the actions. So here I would like to say thanks to the all students who are viewing it, and the team of the EMPC who is making this program possible to broadcast to you. And thank you, sir, once again for this wonderful session. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Once again.